We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Monday. Of course, we have all this shit going down in Los Angeles with the National Guard and all of this. Will is going to be on the show today, as you can see. Will hails from Los Angeles, so he was particularly interested in talking today. But Will, before we get into that, I'm going to tell you a story I haven't told you yet. I've been going
Hmm.
back and forth on texts with Old Soul's brother, who's
Okay.
a military vet, and
Uh-huh.
Old Soul gave him um, my number to stay in contact should there be any problems.
Hmm.
Old Soul went to Los Angeles. Of course, she fucking did.
Of course you did.
Um, anyway, she went to Los Angeles and she was looking to help some people. I don't know exactly what she was doing, but she was in an area of Los Angeles that apparently had a curfew, and it was past the curfew, and she was detained. Now, she was supposed to be released earlier today, but there's so many people protesting out. She is still in the detainment center. So,
Who
Old
detained
Soul,
her? LAPD?
I don't know if it was
I hope
LAPD
it's
or
LPD.
our eyes. Yeah, I
Hope
don't
it's
know
not
who it
ICE.
was. Yeah, I hope so too. But I want to let people know I was going back and forth with her brother, and he was keeping me up to date. Her lawyer is in contact with her, so he's keeping us updated with what's going on. Uh, but at this moment, it is 8:37 Central Time on Sunday night, and at this point, she's still detained. Now, Old Soul's a strong woman, but I've tried to tell her. I said, "Look, man, you can do all the things you want to do, but you don't have to take the whole world on your shoulders. You're a young woman, you got kids, you got all this stuff. You don't need to do this." But she is an activist
Right.
to the nth degree. And I want to let folks know her brother said to tell folks she's all right, she's strong, everything's good. She will be out of there when things settle down outside the detainment center. Um, they're not letting her out because there's a crowd of protesters out there. She would be out by now if it weren't for that. So I just want to let people know that I'll be in contact with her brother and Old Soul.
Good.
As soon as I hear something, of course, we'll let you know. So that's what I wanted to talk about before we got into what you're
Just a
no
quick
doubt going to
question.
go off on.
Wait, is she at the Roybal Center, Federal Center, Detention Center? Or
I
did
don't
she
know
do
for sure. I'm not sure where she's being detained, but it obviously is a detainment center where protesters are at. So it may be the ICE detention.
Yeah, I hope not. Because I'm guessing if she's talking to her lawyer, that sounds like LAPD picked her up. LAPD, the city set the curfew. The mayor did.
Right.
And LAPD was out there at night dispersing um, the crowd the first night that all this started. LAPD has already said we're not helping them. We're not getting involved in it, and the sheriff is getting involved in it. But I think they're just trying to keep the riot control down. I haven't seen the sheriff do anything, but LA's county sheriff is known for stepping out of line. Um, that to make a quick to history, I was born in Los Angeles,
Mm-hmm.
at Good Samaritan Hospital. I lived the majority of my life in Los Angeles, in downtown, in the valley,
I'm
in
having a
northern.
problem with your mic a little bit. Your mic's cutting out.
Is that better now? Is it back?
That's better.
Okay.
But
Uh, yeah. So back up. I've lived all my life. I lived all my life in Southern California.
still a little
Um,
weird. It's
okay, hold
tinny.
on. Give me 1 minute. I'm gonna try something. Okay, 1 2 1 2. Is that better?
Better.
Okay, gotcha. Um, so I lived all my life in LA and all around LA. Just to put it in perspective, I was 6 years old when the Watts riots went out.
Mm-hmm.
I lived Rodney King riots in '92. What happened in Los Angeles is a total and absolute miscalculation of the Trump regime of what the reaction was going to be. They showed up in Chicago and got pushed out, but
Right.
CPD helped out. If you see the videos, CPD were picking up people for ICE. In New York, they got some protests in the courts, but NYPD has been picking up people for ICE. They're getting help. So they figured if they showed in LA, they can do something. This is the model of someone who lives in Los Angeles. Let me make this clear for all you all people outside who've never been to Los Angeles. It is not Hollywood. It is not Malibu. It is not the ultra rich. Okay. Los Angeles doesn't consist of Beverly Hills and Hollywood. It's not that. Los Angeles is a series of communities. When they say LA, they usually mean LA County. That's a
Right.
huge piece of territory. 30 million people live there. Different ethnics, different attitude. An Angelino is basically complains about traffic, it complains how much it costs to live there, but we like living there. I was forced out because I had to take care of business and ended up in Georgia, but that is still home. That will always be home, never changes. And the one rule we have up in Los Angeles, all my time growing up, is that if you don't start nothing, there won't be nothing.
Right.
And they started it. I don't give a shit what you're hearing from the gaslighting. I'm seeing the gaslighting. I've heard the gaslighting. It's not that. You showed up and started pulling people out of their jobs. You showed up in the middle of downtown Los Angeles in the fashion district and just blaring a horn, hoping people would leave you alone and start dragging people out of jobs. There's a horrible video of this woman trying to get to her husband had been arrested, and ICE literally pushed her to the ground.
Yeah.
And he said he's trying to get to her husband. He kept pushing her down. Someone got involved. They are standing in the streets, stopping traffic, throwing tear gas. They are enticing the crowd. So what happened in the fashion district is that you pushed. They pushed back. Flashbangs. They still kept going after you. Hell, someone almost got ran over by an unmarked ICE truck. They pushed back. Then came Paramount. Okay, I want to know all of these horrible fucking criminals they're picking up. They're not. The last time I checked at a Home Depot, there's no hardened criminals hanging out. And you don't
Okay.
show up in force, and I'll take this from Hawk, like you just landed in Baghdad in the middle of the Iraqi war.
Right.
Those guys were armed to the teeth to go into a fucking Home Depot to what? Arrest whatever people they arrested? And when they came out, people were pissed. They're pissed. You're fucking with their community. And they think everyone's going to roll over. So Trump, as usual, fucking overreacted, but he's been itching for a way to fuck with California. And here we are. And it's not going to end well for him. It's not.
No, it's not. I mean, he showed up here and they showed up here in Minnesota too, and it didn't go well. I think the important thing to understand about what's going on in Los Angeles, ICE shows up. There's protest. ICE loses.
Yes.
National Guard comes in because ICE doesn't know what to do. I heard they had him penned up in a fucking building.
They had
I
him,
mean,
yeah, the Roybal building. They pushed him into the Roybal building, and that's it. I mean, they've been pushing him. They were pushing him because they don't, at least at this time, they haven't. Thank God this isn't on TikTok because I mentioned this to someone and they all got touchy. At least they haven't opened fire on people yet.
yeah,
Yet. Um, Someone at TikTok put on a scene from the early episodes of Handmaid's Tale where people were protesting and they just started machine gunning everyone.
yeah.
We haven't gotten there yet. They're not provoking them. They're just these are peaceful protests standing there. You know, they're yelling at them, calling names, but they're not attacking them.
First
Um, uh,
Amendment.
yeah, but I'm getting, and as you probably have, I'm getting the comments. Like one guy commented on a video, yeah, well, they're getting rid of dissent, they're dealing with dissent, which is illegal. When is dissent illegal, motherfucker? Dissent
Well, if
is illegal.
dissent is legal, it's part of First Amendment. I made a comparison in one of my TikToks, and just so people understand, Donald Trump goes into Los Angeles, starts trouble that didn't exist. He is part and parcel the reason why there is unrest in Los Angeles right now. It's caused by ICE. He immediately calls in the National Guard. Okay. for something that's
illegally.
not really
Just so you know,
illegal.
illegally.
Well, yeah,
It's
illegally because
illegally. We'll get to that in a minute. Go
there's
ahead.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you'll be able to explain that. I mean, a president has a right to do what he did, but it has to be under certain terms, and it was not. And you can explain that later. But okay, so he brings in the National Guard right away. I just want to remind folks that on January 6th of 2021, when we literally had an insurrection, people attacking our Capitol, people breaking windows, shitting and pissing on the floors, injuring police officers, causing mayhem. Donald Trump purposefully delayed the response from the National Guard. He held them off for 4 or 5 hours before he let them in, and the only reason he let them in because he was going to look bad or worse than he did. Now, what you have to understand is in most states, the governor has the purview over the National Guard. Now, a a president can override that, but only under certain circumstances. But I will say this: the
Mm-hmm.
difference is in Washington D.C.,
Mm-hmm.
the Pentagon has purview over the National Guard. He kept saying, "Well, Nancy Pelosi didn't do it." Nancy, no, he had the purview, he had the power to do it, and he chose not to. That's who we're fucking dealing with now. In terms of California, Gavin Newsom has the control over the National Guard. A president can override that. As you said, he did it illegally, and please explain.
Yeah. So what it is, if you guys want to look it up, Gavin Newsom sent out a letter saying he needs to withdraw the troops because these were brought in illegally. The provision does say that with cooperation or coordination and agreement from the governor.
Right,
The governor did not agree to that. He just did it. Newsom said, I did not agree to that. I told you we had it handled. Everything was fine. You just escalated it. He
right,
escalated it by bringing in the National Guard. He escalated. They want to fight. And it's just like and that's what Newsom is saying. We were handling it. They were going to basically what the plan was: let it burn out. Ashes do their thing. We just, the LAPD and sheriff did not want to get involved in it because it would have been worse. They pushed them back because it got a little out of hand. That's fine. They told them to disperse. They didn't. Then they took non-lethal measures. But the plan was let it burn out. When ICE leaves, everything's going to be fine. That's
right,
exactly what it was going to be. But because, as you said, ICE got their asses handed to them because they did not expect the pushback they got. They didn't get the pushback they got in Minneapolis, but nothing like LA. They got
right.
some in Chicago, nothing like Los Angeles. Because there's a difference when you see in Minneapolis and when you see in Los Angeles. Again, you misunderstand those of us who lived in that city. We are on edge. And if you fuck with us, we will come back to you. I'm sorry. They started it. Now they want to finish it. And today they were standing in front of the Roybal building with National Guard there with weapons, but weren't moving. And they weren't doing anything bad. They were just being peaceful. We had a march down to 101. I mean, there is protest and it's not going to stop. You lit this keg, motherfucker. Now you're going to see what happens. And unless you want to go ahead and stop mowing people down in the streets, what you going to do now? What you
Yeah, I
going to
mean,
do?
I think they were expecting something like the BLM riots or the Rodney King riots, where it
Mhm.
got really, really violent. And the people in Los Angeles haven't done that. They aren't
Nope.
burning buildings. They aren't looting buildings.
It's nothing. Yeah, and that's what you keep hearing from the fucking mass media and the right wing media. There is a great video of Fox News trying to do a piece, and people chased them out. They ran for their lives.
Oh,
They
good.
started screaming, "Oh man, they're saying, get out of here! You're not journalists. Get the hell out of here! You don't." They ran. So people know, but the mass media coverage is like, you know, it's ICE clashes with violent demonstrators. I've seen these fucking headlines. It's not true. ICE
Yeah.
has. you're throwing pepper balls and tear gas at people who weren't doing anything other than standing there and challenging you. There was no physical things. Now, there was a car fire. Of course, that's going to happen. You start pushing, they're going to push back. But Trump is saying like everything's out of control. Did you see his latest little ditty that he laid out?
No, I
He,
haven't.
oh yeah, this is a beaut. He says we're going to liberate Los Angeles
What
from the
does he mean by
waste.
that?
I mean, because they think all those people that are protesting are illegal immigrants. Why? Because they're fucking brown.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the city of Paramount, as again, give credit to Hawk, 82% are Hispanic. 82% are Hispanic. And you go in there and you think we're not going to step up? The majority of there's, especially in those areas, it's a high concentration of Hispanics. And we don't like you. We want to be left alone, but you don't want to leave alone. You you go into someone's business, disrupt it, and drag people out. For what? They say you have a judicial warrant. For what? Show me the warrant. That's the thing that people keep saying to them. Show me the warrant. Why are they being arrested? And that's what pisses them off. Do you know that the chairman, the president of the Los Angeles chapter of the Service Employee Union is now in ICE custody?
Really?
And I've seen his arrest. He was there. He was there trying to witness what was going on. So they saw him witnessing with the phone. They attacked him. They pepper sprayed him, and they arrested him and dragged him away. He's in ICE custody for interfering with ICE. This whole bullshit of interfering with a federal whatever is crap. You guys don't identify yourself as federal agents. I don't see a badge. I don't see a face. Come
That's
on.
what that's what somebody was pointing out. The National Guard is there, okay, and they
Uh,
aren't doing anything because there's nothing to be done. But they have uniforms on. They have
right.
patches and badges. Their faces aren't covered, so they are who they are. But like you say, these people come in and they've got masks over their faces. They have no kind of identification, and they're just picking people up. Somebody needs to grab these people and expose who they are, not for the sake of doxing them and getting them, putting them in danger, but just finding out for sure that they are authorities that are sufficiently qualified to fucking do this. Because if
And,
they're not, it's kidnapping.
and fuck you, Tom Homan. Fuck you. Okay, we know what your game is, and I heard what you said. And I keep saying that we're picking up gang members. Now, you're not picking up anyone. You're picking up the guy who's working at a Home Depot. You're picking up the person who's a cook in a fucking restaurant. Why? Because you want your numbers, or you're waiting for these people to go to immigration hearings and arresting them when they're trying to do the rest thing. You are separating children from their parents. And there's one case where this woman was giving fucking birth. And they after she gave birth, they arrested her and separated her from her child, her newborn. If you and I, who have had kids, could you imagine that with our wives? Separating
Yeah.
a newborn from your they have no they are the lowest of the low. The men that are in charge of this, the men they're using are not trained federal agents. Because
No.
even a cruel federal agent knows the law and knows that the law works both ways. These are all white supremacist groups hired. J6ers, probably, Proud Boys, the Three Percenters, Oath Keepers. They're all there because you can see the way they act and work their their a terror. They are not tactical. They're reactionary.
Right.
I mean, trust me, if LAPD SWAT decided to move in on them, they'd be gone in 30 seconds
Yeah.
because LAPD SWAT is tactical. They would be able to know what to do. These guys, you could see it, and they don't. Now they're pushing into Compton. Whose fucking great idea was to go into Compton? Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, go into
Good luck.
Compton. Yeah, go. Yeah, please. That is the birthplace of fuck the police.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, they're pushing. And then Midas Touch got in a lot of trouble and TikTok took down their fucking account because they reported, because they put reporters out there and they're reporting back. That's what a news organization does. Because let's face it, Midas Touch is a news organization now. They're not fucking. They are a true news organization, and
Absolutely.
they kind of, and they saw the pictures. They have fucking snipers in Pasadena. Snipers.
Wow.
Why do you need snipers? There is no one armed out there doing anything. This is an extreme escalation. Now, the problem we're having is there's. I watched some of the Sunday shows. Hey, Mike Johnson, fuck you. Fuck you. Okay? No,
Yeah.
there's nothing going on. You're saying, yeah, sure, we peace through strength. Fuck, it's American soil. Marines? And I keep asking people, will they do it? And one guy said, yeah, as long as the Marine gets a paycheck, they don't care who they shoot. I thought the Marines were the honorable part of the military. Really?
Well,
Is that
we
true?
don't. They keep talking about the Marines, but if there's nothing going on, I don't know what would be the excuse for bringing them in. I've asked that same question: will the Marines come in? And we've always had that question about will the military do what's right according to their oath to the Constitution, or will they do what they are ordered to do by some fucking clown? And nobody seems to know for sure, and that's
They don't.
troubling. If we can't count on them to stand in line with the oath, why do we give them a fucking oath?
I mean, old vets are saying, they wouldn't do it, but a good majority of vets voted for Trump. Oh, yeah, let's back up a little here. And one of the creators, Nanique Mariana, she's big. She's a big TikTok person, but she does like comedy skits and everything based
Mhm.
on movies and stuff. But she came out and just said it straight up. What about all you people who kept saying that both sides do it? You think Kamala Harris would be there, that we're going to have ICE raids like this?
Yeah.
I mean, where are you people now? Where are you people in your third party savior? I don't hear a fucking thing from you. And I'm going to bring up a point. I did a video on it. It was a story of, because I get the Hollywood Reporter. I'm a geek. So what? I like movies. So I listen to it. I get the Hollywood Reporter in my inbox. The Hollywood Reporter was reporting 2 days ago. There was a documentary coming up about the Trump election, how he won, which is, I get it. I would do it too, because what the fuck happened basically to a lot of people.
Right.
And one of the people that they honed in on is talking about Hollywood, because they wouldn't do it in relationship to that, was Brian Grazer. Now, if you don't know who Brian Grazer is, Brian Grazer is a huge Hollywood producer, usually tied with Ron
Right.
Howard and his films.
Right.
So there are Brian Grazer had been a Democrat. Brian Grazer had supposedly contributed to the Kamala Harris campaign, but they caught him on film with Trump at an event, and he admits he voted for Trump.
Wow.
Oh, great. Okay. So they laid it out to him. So they contacted him, the reporter contacted him for his remark to the story. And he said, I voted for Trump because I'm a centrist. I didn't trust what was going on with the cognitive decline of Joe Biden, although he wasn't running for president.
No, it was
And I
Kamala.
did, and I don't want, and I didn't like the way the Democratic Party is going on. I haven't heard a word about you. They're trying to burn the city down, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get this real clear. There is no center. There is no moderate. There is no fucking independent. If I hear one more word about an independent voter, you are a Trumper. In discussion, you're either on the right side or the wrong side. And right now,
Right.
you see that's the wrong side. And Grazer, being a latte liberal, not having to worry about if anything happens to him because he got money, decided to put this out as a centrist, as his defense for voting for Trump. Well, dude, look at this now. Is this what you wanted? They
Well,
really, really thought, the far left really thought that this would be not a big thing. Hello? We warned
well,
you.
I've got a good example for you right in California. There is a rep in California. Her name is Eliana, I don't know, Garcia, something like that. She's Hispanic. She is also the founder of Latinas for Trump.
Yeah, I saw this bitch.
Now she's out there crying and saying that this isn't what we voted for. No, bitch, this is exactly what you voted
Exactly
for.
what you voted for.
You just didn't think they'd come after people that support Donald Trump, but that doesn't matter. The matter is the color of your skin. Are you fucking brown? He doesn't care if you voted for him because he doesn't need your vote again. Now they're all weepy going, I didn't know, no idea. Well, yeah, you did. We all, how did you and I have the idea and know this was going to happen and she didn't, a rep for the state of California?
And then stuff that he already done in the first that he had done in the his
Yeah.
first term, but he had people pushing back on him. Now you have no one pushing back. And a quick note to ABC News. Fuck you, ABC News. Terry
Oh,
Moran, who is a good reporter, he has pressed Trump in some of his interviews, said the truth about Stephen Miller. He's a hateful bastard. That's what he said in his tweet. He's a
yeah.
hateful man. He's not smart. He's just full of bio and hate. It's truth. Tell me I'm wrong. You've seen
Well,
that man talk.
Terry
So,
Moran is the only person lately that has pressed Donald Trump, and Donald Trump hated that.
hmm
The fact that he basically said something about this being about hate.
yes.
That's not an inaccurate statement. We're talking about a lot of hate, and then ABC, who's trying to cut some deal or so, I don't know what she did with Donald Trump. There isn't a mainstream media outlet right now that you can trust. There is
Nope.
not one. Not even MSNBC. You cannot trust them
No.
completely. CNN is in the shitter. Jake Tapper and those fucks. Who wants to listen to that? There really is no sources on mainstream media to get the actual information. That's why
Nope.
places like Midas Touch are getting the kind of ratings they're getting because people realize this.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous because all he said is that I met with the man. He's not bright. He's doing everything from a place of hate. That's actually a reporter, basically making an observation,
Right.
and an ABC suspended for him because of Donald Levitt. Yes, I want to say this again. If you run across a female Trump supporter or someone in administration, they don't have a first name, it's of Donald, and then give them their last name because they
Right.
have sold their soul to him. It's no different. Donald
And
is
you're
their
taking that
commander from
and
the
you're taking a
Handmaid's Tale.
handmaiden track. Yeah.
Handmaid's Tale, and she just complained. And the problem with ABC, it's owned by Disney, and Disney doesn't want to upset him because they have a lot of product out there and they don't want him fucking with their stuff. So they don't mind tossing Stephanopoulos or Moran under the bus. I mean, and then CBS News, CNN didn't. When I got done with work yesterday and I came back upstairs, my kids were watching. CNN did a whole thing on Edward R. Murrow and his with George Clooney playing Murrow about the McCarthy years and the Red Scare.
Right.
And the point being is, what happens, with misinformation. It was actually not a bad play because they used a lot of old footage of McCarthy and everyone. But in the end, they kind of played it out what's going on now. But I'm watching that with CNN. I'm going, yeah, but you guys weren't CBS News. Edward R. Murrow stood on ethics. He stood there and took the hits. They lost sponsors. They did it. And William A.
Right.
Paley let him do it too, even though they were getting pressure from the Air Force, from the House, from all that. That's when journalists stood tall and took shit. No, CNN, you playing it on CNN. I'm watching. I'm going. That is such a much hypocrisy to the T. Because then you turn around. The next show probably is a panel with trying to show both sides of this. We have to make it clear there is no fucking both sides. There is no both sides. And I don't care about it's come to the point that even Morrow's character said that there's no both sides. What he's doing is wrong. What they're doing is wrong. It's wrong. It's unconstitutional. It's against the law and fascist. And you guys they use that excuse. We want to tell both sides. No, You just wanted to keep Trump off your back because you're afraid and you'd rather be a fucking propaganda arm for him. And like you
I,
said,
I,
we can't trust the mass media. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I will just say that you were talking about that play with Edward R. Murrow. George
Mm-hmm.
Clooney was in it. This is all coming from a movie. I don't know. You probably saw the movie Good Night and Good Luck. It was directed by George Clooney and it had a lot of big names in it. David Strathairn, Strathern,
Mm-hmm.
Patricia Clarkson, Jeff Daniels, Robert Downey Jr., Frank Langella. It was actually a very good movie. It was out in 2005, so if you get a chance to see that, that can kind of give you an indication of how this kind of happened before with the Red Scare
Right.
and McCarthy and such. Um, I'm going to be interested. There's going to be a lot of movies coming out about this era 10 years down the road.
But the irony about history, again, as people know, history is fascinating because it's a cycle. And I caught a video and I forgot there was a documentary that Edward almost nominated narrated in 1933 at the height of the Depression. Before the federal government had the idea that the problem is why people don't have jobs because there are too many Mexicans that have jobs.
Right.
So they literally just picked up every Mexican they can see in the street, threw them in trains and sent them to Mexico, even if they were citizens. The
Yeah.
idea being is once we get rid of them, there'll be jobs. That sound familiar?
Sounds
That
very
sound
familiar.
familiar? And that's and it's happened before because like any fascist government, it needs a scapegoat. For the Nazis, it was the Jews, the communists. And here's the thing: everyone's going to say, "Why is he doing this? Why is he doing it?" Do you remember when Hitler came to power? There was still pushback on him as chancellor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then came the Reichstag fire, burned down, which is their legislature, to the ground. Hitler seized on it and blamed Jews and communists, and then took power. The Reichstag fire was started by his own people, or SS, Gestapo, whatever. Burned it to the ground and used that as an excuse to take ultimate power.
A
What they're
false
doing in
flag, if you will.
false flag, yeah. As you look in Los Angeles, they keep enticing these people to go into riot mode so they can use that as an example to crack down. And everyone's waiting for martial law. Again, martial law is not going to work.
No.
Unless no, it's not going to work. They're trying to now. Los Angeles is a testing ground. They're supposed to keep National Guard troops there for a 60-day deployment. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do for 60 days other than go out and hunt people? I mean, it's. I don't see this ending well for two reasons. One, they're either going to have to turn tail and run because they got nothing, or they're
Right.
going to do something so egregious that they cannot defend it. I don't give a fuck how many times you show up on Fox News and say that all the people you see there, look, by the way, if someone has a Mexican flag in their hand, I see Palestinian flags out there and all that, that is not illegal, you motherfucking Republicans.
No.
JD Vance. It's not these aren't foreign people invading. They're just proud of their heritage. When did being an American and be proud of your heritage become wrong? I
It's not
mean,
wrong, and they want to try to convince us it's wrong. You have to understand what's going on in Los Angeles, what went on in Boston, and in Minneapolis and Chicago. This isn't a show of strength. This is absolute desperation because they came in here saying we're going to save $1 trillion. That didn't happen. We
nope.
are going to run millions of people deport millions of people, and that's not happening because to date he hasn't even deported as many people as Barack Obama did when he was president in that same time frame. So they're looking stupid. So now they got to drum something up. They got to go in and try to prove their point by causing people to get violent and loot and burn and stuff like that. But it's not working. This desperation is not working for them. And like you say, does that mean they do something more egregious to try to further incite these
But
folks? It
here's
wouldn't
the thing.
surprise me.
But here's the thing, and I'll say this, and again, going back to the Rodney King riots, that was egregious, and it got out of
Yeah.
hand real quick. One of the reasons it got out of hand real quick was that the LAPD, run by Daryl Gates at the time, wanted a riot. He thought
Yeah.
this is a true story. Things were breaking, and he held back LAPD, and he wanted a true riot so he can go out there and crack down. Daryl Gates, the former police chief of Los Angeles, once said, "The reason you have so much crime is that people have too many rights." That's a fucking statement by him. So he held back LAPD when things were starting to get bad. If you remember the truck driver in Normandy that got hit with the stone,
Yeah.
the LAPD, you couldn't find a cop for miles. They were held up. But what happened is it got that it got out of control so bad they lost control of the situation. Total lost control. People just
Yeah.
let loose of their anger they had for months, years. Abuse by LAPD of people of color being stopped. It blew up. Instead of controlling the situation, because knowing after that verdict there was going to be problems, he enticed problems and it set it off to the point that literally at the end, National Guard had to bring in tanks. It was that bad. It
Right.
was
It was
that bad.
horrible.
It was horrible because you let it get out of control. And that's what Governor Newsom is saying. Look, we don't want to get it out of control. You don't want to set this off. And even if they set it off, let's be honest. If you set it off, the only way you control it is start to kill people in mass. If
Yeah.
you set off a powder keg in Los Angeles, it will spread hard. People will have nothing to lose. You will get what you want, but not the way you want it. And the
Right.
only way you stop it is to bulldoze everyone down, and that's going to make it worse. Now, right now, other Democratic governors are getting ready for this. Chicago's next. We
Yeah.
know this. I know that. Um, hopefully Governor Pritzker is ready for this. Governor Newsom he basically um, got got broadsided by Trump because he didn't think he'd go that far. Well, yeah, because you've been playing both in the middle lately, brother, and you just
Right.
found out what happens when you fuck with MAGA. They fuck back and they're
Yeah.
meaner. Um, and the problem though is that for Newsom, Trump is kind of they're laying a thing that it's Newsom's fault. They keep saying that he let it get out of control and that he didn't let anything control. I have one dumb creator who said that she's former LA Sheriff's Department saying that it's all Newsom's fault because he could have told the sheriff and the LAPD to stop this and push ICE out. No, the governor cannot tell a county sheriff or a city police what to do. You have to go through the mayor or the county commissioners. Like Trump had to go through the governor to get the National Guard troops. You can't do that. And this lady tried to argue with me, yo, you can't do it. You don't know what you're talking. No, lady, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. That's the way it works. And to be honest, again, LAPD just wanted it to burn out. They didn't want to entice these people. They know. They know. But Trump
Well,
doesn't.
well, and
And they
you
don't
said
care.
they're pushing toward Compton. Now I got to tell you, I was in Compton once by accident, and I saw what was going on in the '92 riots, and it was crazy. Um, but if he's looking for a firefight, I got to think those gang members in Compton and in those areas are better strapped than the fucking ICE people.
And again, National Guard, where are we going to stop? I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. I mean, Trump's rhetoric is totally out of hand now. I mean, he basically on one of his um, pronouncements is that the city of Los Angeles is now rebellion against the United States. What are you talking about? What?
Yeah.
And then you talk about we're going to liberate Los Angeles from what? No one's they use these terms because the MAGA fucks buy it, the
Yeah.
Republicans buy it, and some of the comments and stuff I've seen, yeah, they love it. They literally want They literally want the National Guard to start just shooting everyone they can see. They do. They want bodies. This is how bad these people are now. This is how we cannot cooperate with them. I don't want to hear about other sides. Okay? I don't want to see we need to reach out. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Because it's always because it's never been about anything they said it was. It was about getting rid of people that don't look like them. And because they need to be in charge again. They can't handle it. America has become pretty much homogeneous, but they can't handle it. And it's just to watch my live there. They really don't know what they're poking. They don't. They live in a fucking little world. LA's huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's big. I mean, and people don't want to be messed with. But you go in there and you mess with people's lives. You take away, children, and I mean, part of the thing that like in the Roybal building, it started with their again arresting people who showed up for their immigration hearings, and then they were arresting them, men, women, children, and they locked them in the basement of the Roybal building without food and water. Nothing. They don't care. I have never
Yeah.
seen such cruelty. The cruelty is beyond belief, and no one talks about that. And I don't know what else to say to these people because they are totally committed to this. There was one, I mean, there was one guy who did a video saying, "Hey, he's an ex-convict. Well, I understand you're upset, but you shouldn't protest against that. This is fuck you, dude. Fuck you.
That's what
Injustice
America
needs
was
to be
built on, protest.
yeah, protest and dissent. But if it's not Donald Trump, we can't dissent against Trump because everything he says is correct. He's
Yeah.
not trying to save America. He's destroying this. And now the city of in Los Angeles, it's like I don't know what to say other than that. Unless ICE leaves and the National Guard leaves, it's going to get worse. Or people are just not going to go to work. That's going to be fun. What
Yeah.
happens when no one goes to work? No one
Well,
shows up for the jobs, and you have no
Tom
one to
Ho-
arrest.
Tom Homan said something interesting. Um, he said that he was looking at arresting the governor and the mayor of Los Angeles for obstructing their efforts. Can you imagine that?
Yes, I
Because
can.
what? Yeah, they're going to try to do it. They're going to try to do it. But when you fuck with a governor, that's got to be a problem. I mean, they've already done it with a representative. They don't want to go to trial with her. They tried to talk her out of it, and she said, "Fuck you, let's go to court." And they're going to be embarrassed there, unbelievably
But how
embarrassed.
you going?
But if,
But how did they interfere? LAPD just didn't show up. They just said, "Okay, that's your problem." They didn't
yeah,
interfere with it. I didn't see LAPD stopping them from arresting people. And the same thing for the governor. Governor didn't stop them. They just saying, "Hey, just leave." We're just asking to leave and let everything calm down. But see, this is the narrative. This is the narrative in order to justify what they're doing.
yeah,
And it's getting to the point that no one's going to stop them until something really bad happens or people really start to rise up. Because here's the thing, the one thing you forgot, guys, the other cities are getting ideas. There are
yeah,
people in those cities watching what's going on in LA, and they're not scared. They're ready for a fight. I mean, Minneapolis kind of proved that, and they're going to try again there. They're going to try in Boston again. There's cohorts, they've been in Baltimore. You really want to mess in Baltimore? Okay, fine, go ahead and do that. I don't know. They think they're winning. They're not winning. They can't
no,
win this. The only
no.
way they
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
mm,
What if say they go to Chicago, okay?
mhm,
Because I got to tell you, you want to fuck with Pritzker, you're going to have a problem with that. It's not
right.
like Gavin Newsom. You go to Chicago and you're going to do this, and Pritzker says, "Well, these fuckers are invading our city," meaning ICE. I'm going to uh, enact the National Guard to keep them out before Donald Trump can call for the National Guard. Then what fucking happens?
Yeah. And that's what I thought. that Newsom should have done before Trump sent a National Guard to keep everyone apart, not
Yeah.
to, again, just to protect the citizens, let ICE do their thing and leave. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
All right. But you let Trump take control of it and you know it's going to be malicious. If Pritzker does that, I mean, I would imagine Hesketh would talk about bringing in the Marines, the regular army. Um, Jesus Christ, there was a film. They have a helicopter. They have a helicopter gunship flying around Los Angeles. A fucking gunship. I
Wow.
mean, this is what happens when you have these lethal cosplayer playing with the military like it's toys. Hesketh is just he's insane. He's just playing with all these toys. And I don't know how long the military and the command is going to take it unless they're in on it, which worries me beyond belief.
We've said this
But
before. We've said this before that this is going to end someday. Donald Trump will be no more. MAGA will be down the shitter, and it will be no more. This stuff will not be happening. This ultimately crashes and burns. When that happens, when that happens, and say Democrats are in charge, there's going to be some hard questions asked of the military and the National Guard
yep,
and politicians who were part and parcel to this whole fucking thing. And they better realize that Donald Trump's not living forever. This whole thing will not last. And when it ends, you motherfuckers are going to be put in front of people asking hard questions.
and everyone says we keep saying you're going to end up on the wrong side of history, and I hear a lot of MAGA go, yeah, whatever. Every one of these type of governments, going back centuries of these authoritarian governments, where the people have done the will of their masters that
Right.
abuse people, fell. And after they fell, there was retribution for those people. It's going to happen again. And this time, when it happens, there will not, the biggest mistake again of the Biden administration was not treating Trump as a criminal, treating him as a political figure. And that's why we ended up back where we were. This time around, they're not going to be criminal figures. They're going to usually look at it as a tribunal situation, military, because they're going to have hearings, tribunals, and these people who have been hiding their faces, we will find you. There's a reckoning coming for you people. You think you're enjoying yourself right now with your cosplay. All of them, Gnome, Bondi, Hesketh, Bongino, Patel, all of you are going to end up on the wrong side of this. Because,
Yeah.
like you said, Donald Trump will be dead and he's not going to save you. And the people are basically going to have at you. I mean, it's going to be literally that scene from the first Iron Man movie when he gets a hold of that one guy who's terrorizing the village and he throws him in front of the people. He's all yours. And he walks away and they're
Yeah.
going after him. It's going to happen because you're seeing right now in Los Angeles that Americans really aren't down with this. I mean, the thing about it is the whole thing about immigration would have been solved when you had the original border bill and it would have been fine. And there would have been a bipartisan work to make everything work. But hate is a big thing.
Yeah.
And to an extent, Trump was right to help kill that bill because it got him elected. And I still, in my head, every time I see women being arrested, children being arrested, just people working being arrested. I see those two old motherfuckers, a man and a woman, sitting in the Republican National Convention with signs that said mass deportations.
Right.
You old white people, fuck you. And to the far left, fuck you worse.
Yeah.
We
I agree.
warned you. We warned you. We fucking warned you. And here we are. Now, a lot of you are just saying, well, that's not my problem now. It is your problem. But we know you're racist anyway. I mean, bottom line, you guys didn't just want to vote for a black woman in
Yeah.
discussion. And now here we are.
You know, when we had the Elon Donald Trump argument, I argued with a lot of people about this. They say it's just a distraction for something else. I said, no, it's not a distraction. If it was a distraction, it was just play acting. They wouldn't have brought up Jeffrey Epstein.
No.
They wouldn't have brought up all these things. I'll tell you what is a distraction is this thing in LA because he's terrified of Elon Musk coming out about this Jeffrey Epstein thing. He's cornered on that fucking thing, and he's terrified that something's going to come out about that.
Mm.
And uh, he does what he does. You know, the one thing that irritates me about everybody, I hear this over and over again from Republicans and even from Democrats. Well, we didn't think he'd really do it. He said he'd do it. Now you're telling me you didn't think he would do it? Well, have you fucking learned a lesson yet? Do you understand he will do it because he doesn't give a fuck?
He doesn't. And it's all about his ego. This is ego for him.
Yeah,
He just wants to put these people in their place. Because to him, basically, let's be blunt. He sees LA as just a bunch of wetbacks and rich
yeah,
people. Let's be blunt. We can lay it out here on YouTube. If you don't like what I'm saying, go fuck yourself, but it's the truth. Donald Trump looks at Hispanic people as a bunch of wetbacks that can clean his toilet.
right.
Black people are used for whatever he wants to use. He doesn't care. He always uses people. And this is what's going on. He thinks he's going to put them in their place. The only thing he's going to do is either run, they're going to pull out and say mission accomplished, although nothing's going to be accomplished to save their
Right.
ass, or there's going to be an incident, a horrible incident that's going to make Kent State, Kent State look like summer camp. That's what I'm afraid of. That one of
Yeah.
these people are just going to say F it and start just shooting everyone in sight. And they're going to try to defend it, but they won't be able to. And I don't want that. God, I don't want that. And that if that happens, then there will be a riot. There will be an
Yeah.
uprising in Los Angeles because people will have nothing to lose at that point. And that's the thing these people, I am so frustrated with the media. I'm so frustrated with trying to talk to people about this because they just sit there and go, it's LA, who cares?
Yeah.
But you have to care because it can come to your city. Now in the South where I live now, I mean in Atlanta, nothing's going to happen in Atlanta. Let me make this
Right.
clear. I
Right.
mean, they're going to cooperate. Florida's already cooperating, those things like that. Um, but again, Trump is on his revenge tour. He's going after blue states. And yes, the next step for Governor Newsom, if he has the balls, if you have the cojones at this point, watching him federalize troops and spending federal money, although he'll try to stick California with the bill for this deployment, just cut off the federal money, dude. Stop
Yeah.
the taxes. Poof. Cut the cord. Because you don't, uh, you have California Medicaid. You could figure that out. Cut the cord. You already have trading deals with other countries. You don't need them. If you do that, you could cut a deal with China and trade would come back to California. And the shipping lanes would be open again because the Chinese would love to deal with the state of California and
Yeah.
Governor Newsom. Sure. I mean,
Well,
if he go ahead, I'm sorry.
while you're on that topic, I want to bring up an email that I got, a guy by the name of Colin. I think he's in the UK actually, and he said I listen to your show a lot, but you said that in a couple of weeks, because of the tariffs, that the shelves would be bare, and you were wrong about that, and you're being distracted by the other stuff, and you're doing all this stuff. And I said, look, motherfucker, here's the thing. First of all, at the time when there was 145% of tariffs on China and they weren't shipping anything,
Mm-hmm.
of course the shelves are going to be bare. But you fail to understand that Donald Trump pussed out and
Mm-hmm.
backed off of those tariffs. That doesn't mean we aren't going to have bare shelves. All he did is delay those shelves because
Right.
there's a period of time that we got no shipments, and that's going to come to pass. And the shipments we are getting are about 30 to 40% less than what we would normally get. So this guy goes on and he says, "Well, you should say that you were wrong." Dude,
No.
and he says you keep getting distracted by the current things that are going on. Dude, that's what I do. That's what I've done for 4.5 years. I talk about the point at hand and try to put some clarity on it. The fact that you're upset that I was wrong, that the shelves aren't bare in the 2 weeks like we thought they would, you got to understand Donald Trump pushed out. That
Yes.
changed the timeline a little bit. And I would just say this to you, Colin. You don't need to listen to me. I don't fucking care. You don't need to listen to me. I'll tell you what you should do. You should start your own fucking podcast
Yeah.
and then
Fuck you,
do it
Colin.
right. Then
Yeah.
do it right. Then do it right.
Yep.
I don't do this for views or follows. I just do this to give what I got. And if you
Right.
don't like it, don't watch the motherfucker.
And so economics. Yeah, he backed off on the tariffs, and so basically the trickle's still coming through. They're going to get the ports are going to get inundated, but I mean, he's always the steel thing. They're already worried about the steel.
Yeah.
Let's face it. It's all a reality show what we're
Yeah.
living with. And every fucking day is a new fucking episode of bullshit that he puts out. First it
And a
was
new
the tariff
twist.
and a new twist. First was all the tariffs. And then it was what else? I mean, things the Tesla thing. And then
The
it was Doge,
deportations. Yeah.
the deportation. Now this is the new thing. We're gonna ramp it up for bigger ratings because no everyone likes war. War is ratings. And but he can't win. I mean, the whole Ukraine and Russia thing, he's done. It's finished. I
Yeah.
mean, they're still going to go at it. I mean, and Ukrainians have their support. It's going to be a long, long war. He's not going to
Yeah.
win. And then you talk about he's so embarrassing. I mean, the German chancellor. You touch the leg of the German chancellor like like you're in a bar. He's the
Yeah.
chancellor of Germany. He's a fellow world leader, and you treat him like you're in a brothel, and you make jokes about, "Hey, wasn't VE Day good for you?" No, it kind of wasn't for the Germans. Okay,
Right.
that was kind of bad because half their country got split, and the Russians took half of it, and all their citizens were dead because your leader wouldn't quit, and you you think that's a good thing? I mean, it's fucking embarrassing. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. We have this absolute lack of decorum in the government that they think that being a loud idiot makes you tough. It does not. I know if there's a loud guy in the bar, we don't want to be around him. Why? Because he's going to get his ass kicked. And I don't want to be
Yeah.
around when the tables start to fly
Yeah.
because he's going to do something. There was Harlan Ellison is one of the great um, short story writers from the 50s, 60s, 70s,
Right.
science fiction. But he did a book of essays when he lived in New York. He did a book of essays of his life, and he took them when he lived in New York. In a time when New York, the Times Square was nothing but a bunch of X-rated theaters. It was a shithole, not what you
Right.
see now. Times Square was a total shithole, adult books. So they would do what they call a movie crawl. They literally, him and his pal would just go up and down and watch all the movies there on Times Square for days straight because they were 24/7. Okay,
Right.
so he and his friend were were in a movie theater watching Jack Lemmon, that Jack Lemmon movie that he won the Academy Award for.
Right.
And
Some,
so we're yeah, and so he was sitting there, they're sitting there and they're half asleep watching this thing. And then some guy who's some I guess maybe heroin addict or something started screaming at the screen about his telling her that's bullshit and all that. And they're ignoring him because he's loud. And they said behind him a voice came up and they just said, "Shut up or I'm going to make you shut up." And him and his friend went, they knew what that voice meant. That small voice, that quiet voice basically meant business.
Yeah.
and they were on the second balcony. And his friend goes, "Did you hear that?" He goes, "Shh, quiet, so he doesn't see us or doesn't hear us. We don't want to be part of this." So the guy who was all worked up and drunk started going, "Yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?" He said all they saw was the shadow come down, grab the guy, and pitch him over the second rail onto the
Wow.
bottom of the theater. The point being is that loud person is what we're dealing with every day. What they don't know is that there are things in the shadows that are more dangerous. And what you're finding out right now is that the American people are probably are in that vein. A lot of people have been quiet. A lot of people have just been holding out and just don't want it. I don't want to deal with. I just want to get my shit. I want to deal with my life. All
Right.
right, we can deal with the economy shit. I just want to be left alone. Now you're seeing they're not leaving you alone. You're seeing they're interfering with everything you do in your life. Everything. I mean, the Trump administration took away the hospitals had to give emergency abortions for the life of the mother. No, you don't. Basically, you tell a doctor to violate their Hippocratic oath, or if they let her die, fine. If they don't, they go to jail.
Right.
I mean, that's insane. The attitude of all these people is one of disdain for the rest of us. And the thing about it is, most of us Americans don't like to be messed with like that. Go ahead, Mike, you were
Right.
saying.
Well,
We,
what I was going to say is, you talk about the shadows and behind the scenes and stuff, and that's one thing that I've always been concerned about, the potential violence. You take somebody like Tom Horman, who's not a president of the United States, or Christy Nome.
mm-hmm,
People can get mad enough to do some horrible things to people like that aren't covered. But the other thing that's going on too is we keep hearing about all the chaos in the Department of Defense. We hear about what's fucked up in the FBI. There's a lot of mess, a lot of chaos going in our departments that we count on to work
mm-hmm.
for this country. And it's because we're dealing with arrogance and ignorance. They're incompetent. And that incompetence we don't see directly right now, other than going into LA like they have. But there's a lot of fucked up shit going. This is an organization that's on the precipice of disaster because they just can't do what they're supposed to do.
No, and they hide it by being loud or
Yeah,
being ridiculous. I mean, I
yeah,
saw Tom Homan's interview with Fox News. He was slovenly. He was sitting back in the chair, that hat, and he's like just saying all this stupid bullshit about LA. But it's all a lie. But you look so. It was ridiculous. You look pathetic. You do. It's the thing about it is like when Pete Hesketh made that announcement, we're going to send the Marines. Someone asked me, and I think I was talking to Trucker T at the time, why did he do it? I go, because he's an attention whore.
yeah,
He needed his 15 minutes. All these guys are Fox News attention whores. And they keep saying that these outrageous things because people react to them. But the
yeah,
problem is what we react to them because you're setting policy. When you say something, you set policy. But the person in the shadows talking about it is Stephen Miller. Stephen,
right,
this whole thing we're watching right now is because Stephen Miller told them, we need more arrest. Go to Home Depot, 7-Elevens, or whatever. I need bodies. Not what there was, not what it was supposed to be. In other words, we're going to go after the hardened criminals who are immigrants. No, we're going to pick up any brown body so we can just say they're illegal and get rid of them.
right.
And I don't know. And the point is like, it doesn't serve a purpose other than saying that we're now going to have a colorless America. I don't know. There's no purpose other than he hates these people. Terry Moran said the man is one big bundle of hate, and he hates everyone who is not white Christian. Definitely hates Elon Musk, but he just played high salami with his wife. That's why they got into a fight.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the thing. I don't know right now, other than what we're doing. right now to combat this. The people on those streets today in Los Angeles, they know what's coming. I'm really going to say this. They are not afraid. They're, what's the word? No, cogs. They know what's going to happen. They know if they turn around and start shooting people, they set it there. That's going to happen. I mean, they're standing in front of the Roy Bobby building. Someone's with National Guard with weapons, taunting them. One guy's like having a barbecue. There's a vendor there, and I'm thinking if one of these people snaps, they will just mow down everyone. Then what? How are you going to explain it? They weren't doing
Yeah.
anything. You can't hide that. But I don't want that. I'm scared for these people if that happens.
Well, I am worried about that, but I'm also considering the possibility that if they go in the wrong area at the wrong time, what's going to happen when the first ICE agent is killed? Because that
Oh,
could happen.
that could happen, and then they'll step it up. Then you will see, probably military vehicles, tanks. Hell, I mean, it would get out of control, and then that would escalate it even further. And the question I have for like LAPD, how are you going to enforce regular laws right now in the city of Los Angeles
Right.
with all this bullshit going on? How are you going to respond to people on regular crimes that happen if they need you? If you're if you have to fucking get around the National Guard and ICE, how are you going to police the County of Los Angeles LA sheriff with this shit going on? That's the thing. These people, because it came down from Trump and all the way down. Every branch of the security system of the United States out is now looking for immigrants. FBI, ATF, DHS, Border Patrol, all of them who should have their own responsibilities, especially the FBI, but they're all looking for always looking for Pablo at the fucking Home Depot who might be an immigrant looking for a job, or you're going to the construction sites to arrest all those people who are just working. They're working for a living. They're not committing crimes. Well, they're here illegal, so that's crime. No, it's not. There's a crime and there's breaking the law. Yeah, so they're illegal they're illegal working at a job. Who fucking hired them? Why is not
Yeah.
one of those people been arrested who hired them? I'm pretty sure in the books that's illegal against the
Yeah.
law.
Yeah.
And and that's the thing. It's been twisted that anyone of color looks like are the enemy. And that's what these people want. Because the comments go back to Mexico. You shouldn't. I mean, it's just sad to read these comments, knowing that these people actually believe this and are working to. And this is where we're at
When you
now.
when you
Yes.
raise the fear to this level and the anger to this level, and literally fear,
Mhm.
what I'm afraid of, um, there's crazy motherfuckers out there, and who's to say a gang member or some crazy motherfucker sees a truck jacked up with Trump flags on it and yelling and screaming? Who's going to stop them from shooting the fuck out of that?
Oh, there was a car show in L.A. and someone thought they were cute, and they showed up in a something like that with a Trump truck. That didn't go well for them. They literally, everyone started climbing on it. They tried to get rid of the driver. I mean, it was bad. He had to run for his life.
It's looking
Yeah,
like Normandy.
yeah. I mean, it's. I remember the Rodney King riots. That was not a fun thing. It was
No,
not.
oh, I can
It was
imagine.
horrible. But you have to understand the impetus behind it. That was a long time coming. A long time coming of what happened. Rodney King was the set off. Like George Floyd, that was a long time coming.
Yeah.
And they finally got because of years of saying they did this, my word against your word. You're not going to believe. They got a film of a police officer literally murdering a man for nothing, passing a counterfeit 20 supposedly in the streets of Minneapolis, and you can't defend it. And that was what set that off, because it was a long time coming, and we
Right.
had and people just said enough is enough. And then, they took advantage of it. And that's why I keep hearing, yeah, well, all you left people like to riot. No, we don't like to riot. We don't burn things down. And the last time I checked, we didn't try to storm the Capitol on January 6th. You can fucking rewrite history as much as you want. You guys tried to take the government down because your God didn't win. And if it wasn't for those Capitol Police, it would have been a nightmare worse than we're already in now.
Well, and that's
But
the other thing I'm worried about
mm,
is some of these people coming out and inciting it. Like for example, I'm in Minneapolis or a suburb of Minneapolis. I grew up in South Minneapolis where those riots happened, the burning
mm,
of the police station. And when
mm,
that happened, I go, "Oh fuck, that's turning a corner here." When they burned down the precinct in the neighborhood I lived in, you know who went to jail for that? For burning
white
down that
supremacists,
white supremacist, a boogaloo boy who
right?
did it. And that's something that we could see end up happening here too
Well,
if they don't get the action they want.
well, I will tell you this: the reason you're not going to see the provocateurs because they're on the other side of the line with their faces covered.
Well, that's probably true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because and so what they're going to do is see the thing about it that was done in secret. One of them is going to do something. They're going
Stupid.
to, yeah, and they're going to be so afraid they're going to get cornered, and they're going to do something, and then that person is going to be exposed as who they are,
Right.
and it's going to be,
They're going to go Kyle Rittenhouse on the shit and they're going to fuck up.
yeah. And the thing about it is you can't defend that.
No.
You can't. I mean, Kyle Rittenhouse was it's a joke of a trial. That was a
Yeah.
joke. Um,
Absolutely.
but his life was over.
Yeah.
No one wants him. Not even the far right want him because they
Yeah.
know what he is. They know what he is.
It's a stupid piece of shit.
Yeah, and now we're in the. I know that the whole George Floyd thing was a mess in Atlanta. I mean, I mean, I understand it. I really understand it because it was just the buildup of all that. Now here we are. We're up to here.
Looks like you froze up there, Al. Will.
You
There
see
we
me?
go. We got you back.
Okay.
Yeah, we got you back.
Okay. You have a government that wants to get to that point again. They want this because they literally want a war so they can justify what they're going to do.
Right.
But the problem is, be careful what you wish for, because if you do something egregious, you can't defend it. They're having a hard time defending what they're doing now. Let's face it, the immigrants are all criminals and rapists and all that. Is where war thin, especially when you see it's a woman, their kids.
Yeah.
We're not buying this shit. The only people buying it are the normal people who would buy it anyway. The minority of us. I don't know what's going to happen in Los Angeles. I think they picked the wrong bear. There probably
Yeah.
would have been
Probably.
better. I mean, I don't know what city Boston would have been. I don't know. Boston would have been as bad, but you pick Los Angeles because honestly, as I think one gentleman made a good comment, picked Los Angeles because he thought, yeah, they're just weaks. They're just a bunch of wetbacks. Yeah, no, that's what you're watching right now, and they're brave. They were on the 101 today, closing down
Yeah.
traffic, and they were just protest. They're protesting what's going on in their city.
And they
They're
should.
not. They should, and they're not breaking anything. They're not doing what you said. Yes, there's someone set an ICE car on fire. Yes, one car. They're not attacking police. Police are attacking them. And
And
those are
and
facts.
And based on what I said about what happened in Minneapolis and the Boogaloo Boy burning
Mm.
down the police department, how do we know a protester burned down the ICE car? Maybe the ICE people did it just to start some shit.
And that's where we're at right now. This is an ongoing thing that we expected to happen, but
Yeah.
I didn't think they would do it in Southern Cal. the size of Los Angeles, they don't get it. And it's just live there and I know what these people are thinking and they're out there. They're out there. A lot of people saying, well, there are a lot of older people out there. Yeah, there are older people out there because they know what's going on
Yeah.
and they're willing to put up, they're literally willing to put up their lives. Now, the problem we have too is no one's talking about the lack of due process. There is
Yeah.
no habeas corpus for any of these people that have been arrested. There has no been no hearings. There has to been nothing. No due process is being done because they're under the assumption you're illegal, you don't deserve due process. We all know that is wrong.
Is
We
that what
all
the
know that,
Constitution says?
yeah, but you guys have perverted everything, including the Constitution. I'm going to say this one more time. It's going to get, I'm going to say this because it's going to get worse before it gets better. I cannot see it getting better all of a sudden unless they
No.
leave, and they're not going to leave. Trump's not going to leave. Heskett's not going to leave. They're in for a penny, in for a pound. They're going to push us as far as they can. It's going to get worse before it gets better. But the one thing we have to remember, and as we discussed before, this will pass, and there will be a reckoning, and maybe our
Absolutely.
country will survive. Now, I will not buy into everyone saying, "Well, it's a dictatorship now." No, it's not a dictatorship now.
No.
Stop it. Stop. 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 I was not happy when I heard the National Guard, but watching the reaction of Angelinos to it, instead of backing away, they're up in their faces. And not
Right.
in a bad way. They're just saying, you guys need to leave. You should be ashamed of yourself. They're calling them out because what there is no immigration policy other than if it's brown, it must be arrested. If it's brown, it has to leave this country. There is no immigration policy. And all those who voted for Trump who are Latino, well, they're Latino for Trump, I have no sympathy for you, lady. I have no sympathy. You brought this on us. In fact, I'm pissed at you because you're one of the reasons we're all fucked right now. Because you
Right.
thought you're going to get something out of it. You know what you're going to get? Nothing.
The,
Cubans, you only have to the end of the month to get out of the country, right?
right.
Before you're gone, before you're forced out. Same thing with Venezuelans, sadly Haitians. They revoked your status. I mean, how did that vote work for you? And you know, Kamala Harris had a statement on it because she lives in LA, but it's too late. Not to her. I mean, she's going to say a statement. I get it. But you know what people I haven't heard from, honestly? Honestly? I haven't one word from Nancy Pelosi,
No, not a
Hakeem
fucking word.
Jeffries, Chuck Schumer. No one. Not a one word. The only people on the fucking Sunday shows again were fucking Republicans. Fucking
Yeah.
Republicans. Why aren't you saying? Why isn't anyone saying anything right now? Is it that hard to call a reporter or call and or do any kind of video and say, "Hey, this sucks. We need to do something about it. We're calling for an investigation." Is there anyone out there? Hi, can you hear me? Because that's the other side of the coin. The majority of Democrats are just like, eh, we lost the immigration. I mean, I'm going to go back to what Gavin Newsom said. We lost the immigration um, narrative. Did we? A major city in your state has been invaded by the federal government. Did you lose? Did we lose? Is that what you wanted? That's the thing.
Well,
You go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I'm just saying that you and I have talked about this before, and we would have never said this before the election, but after the election, things just changed so dramatically, as they do, Colin. Shit changes, and we have to
Mhm.
talk about what's going on. But I'm almost at the point, and I think you're at that point where we want this to end, but it apparently has to be a major catastrophe
Yeah.
before it happens. And we don't want to see that, but it almost seems like that. And my impression of people like Nancy Pelosi, um, And Hakeem Jeffries is, well, you voted for it. Let's let the fucker crash as hard as it can, because the more it crashes, the more it damages the Republican Party, and we can come back like the heroes. I'm going to tell you right now, Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries and all you motherfuckers that aren't saying anything, you're not heroes. You're going to be uh,
Complicit.
tarred and feather too when it's over.
Right. Complicit. I mean, oh, you don't have to. I'm not asking you to come out of LA and protest. I'm asking you to say something immediately.
Yeah,
Say something. There's some kind of fear that these people have of not stepping up and saying, this is fucked up. There's
yeah,
nothing wrong with it, because it is. There is no other side of democracy, freedom, and human rights. What's the other side of it? It's called fascism and authoritarianism.
right.
There is no no both sides on this. But
No, there's not.
there isn't. And I don't know. I know you guys can't do anything about it because I know you're in the minority, but you could shout with the rest of us. Don't let
Yeah,
them take the narrative. They keep taking the narrative from you, and it's too late. And the reason that they're going after Midas Touch, they're going after Aaron Parnas, they're going after a lot of independents, they're going after a lot of creators, because we speak the truth, and the truth is it is the worst thing for them. We show them what's going on, and that's maybe the biggest thing we do right now, is that hey guys, this is what's going on. I mean, if I see someone saying this bullshit that it, that they're just misinformation going on, I'm going after you. I'm sorry, because you guys are the problem. You keep perpetuating it, and I don't want a tragedy to happen. But if it's going to happen probably within the next few days, and it's going to be
yeah,
horrendous. And I want to see how they're going to CYA this.
yeah.
I mean, you
Well,
can't.
people always come to me and say, "What can I do? I can't do anything." Well, the fact is, the matter is, everybody can do something. It doesn't have to, you don't have to take on the whole fucking problem and fix it yourself. There's no fast fix to what's going on now. You do what you can do, and people will listen to us on the podcast or on TikToks and whatever. I'm doing as much as I can do,
Yep.
talking about this. And I'll be honest with you, the reason we're in this situation is because you let the Republicans control the narrative.
Right.
I'm going to bring down prices. I'm going to bring down inflation. I'm going to deport millions of people. They had no plan for it, but that was the narrative, and people bought into it. So the opposite effect of this would be, let us carry the narrative. And I've said before, me alone, I can't do fucking anything.
No.
All I can do is spew what I spew. Hopefully somebody hears it and they spill it to somebody else, and so forth. It's about building a groundswell or a grassroots type thing and getting people informed and getting them properly motivated to do whatever they can do. I mean, if all you can do is go down and talk to your next door neighbor and tell them what's up, that's all you need to do. If everybody
Right.
does something, we'll be good.
And I don't know, because I hear the fear in a lot of people's voices. I hear the
Right.
doomsayers about martial law. We are in a dictatorship. What one person was saying, well, this is where the American people figure out whether they're going to capitulate. They're not going to capitulate. My biggest fear is that the military is going to go along with it because they're just following orders. That's too would end, because they're going to, if they do something absolutely egregious.
Yeah.
Um, this is what has happened in the last few days was totally expected but unexpected. Not like this, not so fast. And I think
Yeah.
it's on the heels of, like you said, Elon and Trump getting into that thing, trying to hide certain things. I don't think that Elon and Trump had their breakup in lieu of so they can do what they do in LA. This was a reaction to this.
Right. I
That's a
agree.
reaction. They're not that smart, and they couldn't even see. They should have known if you poke someone like this is going to happen. So what's going to happen during the week? That's the next question. So LA is going to have a National Guard. So what's their next move? So they still have to do their arrest. I mean, I'm telling you, probably by Monday, by Tuesday or Wednesday, they'll be in Chicago hardcore. What happens in Chicago? Because Chicago they hate Chicago. So what is Governor Pritzker going to do? Next thing, the Boston mayor poked ICE at Big Eye because she called them Gestapo. She called them out what they were.
Yeah.
Boston's next. What happens when they go to Boston? Um, they're going to press they're going to press this because right now they think in Los Angeles they're winning. They really do. They think
I
they're
know
going
they
to
do.
well, we're going to liberate LA from who? What are you talking about? And also, the economy is going to suffer.
Yeah.
People, the stock market and the economy do not like volatility, and messing with one of the biggest cities in the country brings volatility. If you start
Right.
messing in New York, my only thing is that what are they going to? Those people in court, all these immigration courts, why do we have them anymore?
Yeah. There's no point. There's
There's no
no point.
point because. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
There's one other thing that's coming up that will add to the shit show.
Oh, I was
And
going to bring that up. I forgot. Go ahead.
5 days from when you're hearing this,
Hmm.
we've got the big event in Washington, D.C., Donald Trump's little parade. There is currently trainloads of fucking tanks and military vehicles going into Washington, D.C. While that's going on in Los Angeles and wherever else he's going to fucking go, I'm excited to see that parade because I know it's going to go badly. It's going to go very badly.
I thought maybe you'd have two or three tanks, some just a few armored carriers. Dear God, I saw the pictures. They're just
Yeah,
train loads of military armor coming in. Where are you going to put it in Pennsylvania Avenue?
yeah.
Well, I mean, those streets are not built for the weight of an Abrams tank.
Well,
It's
they're
insane.
they're talking about 6 to 7 thousand military troops. They're talking about 150 military vehicles. I don't know how many tanks. They're talking about 50 helicopters. I mean, it's just going to be absurd. It's going to be
It's
ridiculous. And it can't
absurd.
help but be an embarrassment for him.
It's absurd. I mean, I saw that, and then people say, "Well, it's part of the plan because at this point they're going to use the military to take over." No, they're not. They're not. That it's just because they can't. What are you going to take over in D.C.? He's president of the United States. They already got Congress. It's
Yeah.
just you're watching. I keep seeing you know, parody pictures of third world dictators, or actually, what I see is Muammar Gaddafi in that fucked up uniform watching troops go by. I mean, it's going to be that type of thing, and we are not that country, but we are now. And the money, how much is just to transport that much armor? How much did that
Yeah.
fucking cost us?
The optics of this is going to be horrible. And Republicans who don't already know it are going to see, oh, this is going to fucking cost us, and they're going to
Really?
be embarrassed by it. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
just no.
so.
I mean, I'm agreeing with you. Real, it's sarcastic, not a question, because
Okay.
it's it's the amount of. I don't know how much this is going to cost. They keep saying, "Oh, it's that 90 million." There's no fun. It costs 90 million to ship those people, ship
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
stuff, and then you got the gas, you have the fuel, you have all this stuff. What 6,000 troops? Is that a battalion?
I don't know what
I'm
the fuck that
what
is.
that's the 6,000. Why do you need 7,000? How long is this parade going to last? Hours? Months? I
Well,
mean, hours?
well, and
It's
when they pull these 6,000 from wherever they're pulling them from, doesn't some of our enemies say, "Well, there's an open spot"?
oh,
I
our
mean, that's one of
armors.
the things I'm concerned about too. And people have contacted me about this because we have, uh, well, actually, TJ did. Because we have no national security, literally have no national security. The Defense Department is in fucking chaos, and we've got all these troops moving into Washington, D.C. How long before there isn't some kind of national event because people see an opportunity? Countries that don't like us.
Well, considering that the head of the terrorist threat evaluation for DHS is 22 years old and has no fucking experience in it, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they pulled off 911 with our intelligence system supposed to be top notch. They hid that for months before they pulled it out
Right.
until both because agencies wouldn't talk to each other. They had the thing about 911. I always remember they had the information. They knew these people were in the country. They knew they were doing something, but no one would speak to each other because it was
Right.
jurisdictional like that. And then when the shit came down, the evaluation said, "Oh, you knew? Yeah, we knew. Did you know? Yeah. Why didn't you tell us? Yeah, that cost us. Right now, we don't even have any people listening,
Right.
watching. It's
And Donald
all
Trump just pissed off the Taliban by
again.
yeah, he banned travel from Afghanistan, and Taliban came out and said they were angry about it. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to piss off the Taliban and leave open spots in our security.
I mean, that's the thing. What and he's so concerned about Los Angeles right now,
Yeah.
as if that's a problem. LA is not a problem. It's part again, Donald Trump and Republicans and basically the Heritage Foundation do not believe we that the United States is the United States. They believe you're part of the United States if you agree with what they do. If you
Right.
don't, or you go another way, you're not part of America. And that's the
Right.
way they treat everyone else. But they even treat their so-called red states the same way. Someone was talking about who lives in St. Louis, saying there's still damage in Missouri from the
Oh
tornadoes
yeah.
they had, and there's no one showed up for the federal government. There's no one in the federal government. We're a month and a half away from that? Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing. How much longer are you guys going to take this shit? And that's another thing about LA. This gives red meat to these people. They love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know that, you're not going to have Medicaid or Medicare. Yeah, but they're getting rid of the Mexicans. I'm good with that. That's what you're dealing with right now. And that's what we deal with every day with these. I cannot believe some of the MAGA stuff I see on these videos. They're ridiculous people with
Yeah.
ridiculous takes. And a lot of them don't even talk like we do or try to pontificate. They just do some kind of weird ass word to a song dancing about some bullshit. And it's really sad. And you kind of watch, I'm going, what's wrong with you? How can you be so callous? How can you just not understand or just plain out lie? You
Not
just
even
lie.
callous, but so tone deaf and so stupid. We're getting toward the end here, but
Mm,
TJ sent me a video. He and his wife went out to some punk rock concert. These fucking kids
figures.
and their music.
I know.
Went to some punk rock concert, and some Trump comes in, strutting like he knows something. That boy got his ass kicked. There was
Really, you
nobody in
think?
that. Yeah, he got his
Oh,
ass kicked.
jeez.
That's what
FAFO.
I'm thinking is some of these people that are so proud and loud about Donald Trump, people are going to get to the point where they're going to say, "Fuck you,
And to
fuck
make
you."
it worse, there is I don't know if you saw this. There's a thing going on with TikTok. There was a nurse who's basically um um a liberal, and she was getting shit about because she's a OB nurse and she's supporting women's health. And so
Right.
they were keep sending things about abortion and Christ and how can you support that? She literally sat down and opened the Bible and read through Matthew and the words of Jesus Christ, of Christ. She read it and just left it as it is. And MAGA lost their motherfucking minds.
I'll bet.
They lost their minds. They just said she's weaponizing the Bible. How can she do that? And I'm like watching that going, I saw her original video. She just read out of Matthew and that's it. And what Jesus wanted us to do, to help the poor, help the stranger, the things that we were taught, forgiveness, and you got
Yeah.
upset. And one person made a good comment on remarking on it. If you are upset by that, you need to see if you need to be exercise a demon out of you,
Yeah. No shit. No shit.
because that was, and that's the other thing we're fighting is this divinity that they put on this movement. I mean, literally, they think Trump is on a mission from God, or he is God on earth, or God's instrument earth to bring them whatever. And that's the other thing we're fighting. It's not just misinformation, but cult to the extreme. It is not just a cult, and let's call it what it is. It's a religious cult,
Yeah. No
a
question.
religious cult. And all evangelicals have lost their mind because they've bought into this. And their reckoning will come later. I wouldn't want to explain that to God. Have fun with
No.
that on Judgment Day. But
Yeah.
that's
No
the thing.
shit.
Everything we see right now in Los Angeles and all that is everything we have warned since before the election, and now it's happening. And right now, my only advice to everybody is take a deep breath, keep calling off the truth, and hopefully it's going to implode on itself.
Yeah.
But
It
when
will.
it does, don't be shocked how brutal and nasty it is. And that's
Yeah.
where we're
It's
at.
gonna. It's unfortunately inevitable that there's going to be some brutal and nasty shit. Well, I'm going to wrap up the Rational
Mhm.
Boomer podcast. Will, thanks for coming on. I was excited to have you on, given your history with Los Angeles. I was in Los Angeles this past year, and
Mhm.
I don't really have a perspective of what's going on there or what the
Uh,
people are like there. So it's good to hear from
yeah.
somebody who knows.
Yeah. It's going to be, we'll see what happens because if they want to fight, unfortunately, they're going to get one. I don't want
Yeah.
that to happen for the city that I was born and raised in. But knowing the city that I was born and raised in, okay, let's do it.
Yeah,
Comes down
yeah.
to it.
They're going to run into similar problems with other cities too. This is
It's,
not going to wear well. This is not going to age well for Donald Trump. Ultimately,
mm-hmm.
unfortunately, innocent people will be hurt, and that's what, frankly, pisses us all off at this
Yep.
point. Well, Will, thanks for coming on. I
And
appreciate
guys,
it.
appreciate it.
Those of you listening, thank you for taking the time to do that. I hope you have a great day. Oh, by the way, Kristen is on tomorrow.
Oh,
Kristen
cool.
is on
She's in
tomorrow.
California,
So
so see what she says.
she's in LA. So we
Yeah,
got a
so she'll
LA
be.
trend here.
Mm-hmm. All
She'll
right,
have something to say.
I
All right.
got you.
And those of you listening, thanks for doing that. Hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.